Welcome to the Gonzo Chronicles. I'm your host, Cyrus Alderwood, the official spokesman for Generation X. Stick around. It's going to get weird, as always. Hey, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Gonzo Chronicles. Hope everyone had a great week. Enjoyed a damn Super Bowl. I enjoyed my Bengals in there, even though they didn't win. But we're going to move on a little bit and get past my heartbreak. And we're going to talk about some really cool independent films this week. And we have a special guest, Anthony Caimano from New York. Anthony is an independent music and film producer. And Anthony, thanks for coming on to the show, man. I really appreciate it. How you been?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
So, I wanted to talk to you. Your project I've seen posted all over Facebook, and I'm a big fan of Batman, and especially a big fan of this character, the Joker. And you are putting a fan film together called Batman: The Killing Joke. Tell us a little bit about what this is, what the project's about, and where did you come up with a title like that?
So it's actually based on a graphic novel. So there's a comic story called Batman: The Killing Joke, and it's inspired by this story. And I was actually promoting an album, an EP, a couple of years back, and I was getting just trying to have fun during the pandemic, and I was dressing up like different characters each week and popping up on Facebook and Instagram and just telling people about the album that I had coming out. And I was Hulk Hogan one week, and I was my brother and I were Jay and Silent Bob the next week, and we just I did all these characters. And one week I kind of landed on the Joker, and got a bit carried away with it. And here we are a couple of years later, and making the fan film out of it. So
Now, these films that you made, like these characters, are these on YouTube? Can people find it there, or are you on just Facebook?
It was just on Facebook. It was something I did just for friends and family mostly. And they were just short clips, maybe 30 seconds to a minute long each week. And I don't think any of them are up anymore. I don't think you can find them anymore.
Wow. So, yeah, during the pandemic, I think we all had to find some things to occupy our mind if you couldn't get out anywhere. I mean, you could go talk to people you work with face to face or clients face to face. So I can just imagine. Like, I'm glad I didn't go the route of like dressing up as weird characters because, especially videoing it, because by like month 3, like I've sat in so much and I've ordered Giovanni's pizza so much that I could probably only fit my fat ass into a pair of sweatpants and a shirt. So I would have been like Fat Rocky, right, from the Rocky movies, or like try to do my best impression of Hans and Franz from the old Saturday Night Live skits. Just like thing with pillows under anything to hide like the 4 months of neglect and crappy eating. But you had 2 weeks to slow for it. Was it like 15 days to slow the spread to here we are a little over 2 years later, man. And I've not stopped putting on weight yet. So if I could dress up like a villain, it'd be the Joker. Is that like just, are you like a big time Batman fan, or was it just this comic that grabbed your attention?
I love Batman. I've always loved Batman. So I grew up watching all of the live action stuff from Adam West to Michael Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, Bale, now Affleck, and of course Pattinson's coming out soon. And I watched the animated series, the 90s series. I watched the series based on the Adam West show. So there was an animated version of that, I remember.
that animated version from the 90s was really, really great, wasn't it? That was like cutting really kind of dark at the time, and like, you just weren't used to that kind of darkness. I mean, even when the Batman movie came out in the 90s with Michael Keaton, it was a little
Yeah.
dark. Well, Jack Nicholson brought a darkness to that, right? Because they kind of tried to film it cartoonish in a way, but that was like that was the movie I think that really got me interested in Batman as a character, even though I grew up with comics as a kid.
Yeah, I love that movie. That was directed by Tim Burton,
Yeah.
and it had, of course, Michael Keaton was Batman in the movie, and he brought the dark feeling to the live action Batman in a way that hadn't been done before, and so it was pretty cool.
Now, do you have a like out of all the Batmans, all the people who have played the Batman character, do you have a favorite or a couple of favorites?
I like Michael Keaton a lot from the original Batman,
Yeah.
and I like what they were doing with Ben Affleck. I just think that the Snyder movies were a bit of a mess, but I like the idea of what they were doing with Batman at the time.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people really like Christian Bale as their favorite version of Batman. I don't like. I'm with you. I kind of like the Michael Keaton one. Maybe it's just because I was younger and just But I really like the Christian Bale ones. But as far
Mhm.
as the Joker, I mean, you had Jack Nicholson, and then you had Heath Ledger that played the Joker, and they played them two very distinct ways. Um,
Yeah.
when it comes to this fan film, like, do you lean toward one side of that darkness or the other, or how, do you blend that? How do you approach that?
I try to just do my own thing. I'm trying not to do it won't be an impression of any of those guys. So I'm not going to do, a lot of people, I think, expect a Mark Hamill impression. Mark Hamill voiced the Joker in the animated series, or they expect me to show up and to do this kind of Heath Ledger impression, but I don't have any intention of doing that. The only thing that's really kind of borrowed from Heath Ledger is part of the makeup, where I have the eyes that kind of resemble
Yeah.
the way that his eyes were done in the Dark Knight, and I have the mouth kind of resembles Joaquin Phoenix from the Joker movie,
Mhm.
and just with my own twist on it. But that's it. I'm not going to do an impression of them or try to copy what they did in any way.
It seems like that character, the Joker, is like just from the comics, and then even the way the people portray it in the movies are so different. That has got to be one of the most complex characters that just in like cinematic history. How to Because you can approach it in so many different ways. And I'm trying to think of the name of the movie, The Suicide Squad, when
Mhm.
Jared Leto
Yeah.
uh, played that character, and it was just so wildly different. I could
Right.
see how people could take their own approach to it, but um, does that give you any pause as to just how diabolical and weird that character is when you try to kind of, I guess, get into character? Because Jack Nicholson actually warned Heath Ledger about getting into the character. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was something I had to actually take a step back from a couple of years ago when I was first dressing up as the character, because I was on Instagram and I was a part of a lot of these different group chats that were dedicated to the Joker character. And I was getting all these messages from fans of the Joker that where it was almost like they were like confiding in me and telling me about personal things that were going on in their lives, and it just got so heavy after a while that I had to kind of take a step back from it. um but yeah, there's, I've looked at what I thought were the most popular performances of the character, which I think a lot of people say that Heath Ledger is their favorite Joker. And so I kind of looked at the Joker in The Dark Knight and tried to figure out who the Joker was in that movie. And ultimately, I decided that he was like an alternate version of Bruce Wayne, in almost like a parallel universe where it's like if Bruce Wayne just grew up in that, one town, a couple blocks over, just had like, different parents, but kind of like grew up, and it just seemed like he was just uh I don't know how to describe it, but another part of Batman.
Yeah, I can kind of see that because the similar drive, a similar angst. and it just depends on which wolf you want to feed with what they're going to become.
Right, right,
And
exactly.
one thing, as I was watching The Dark Knight, I think one of the things that struck me was, I'd watched Batman Begins, and yeah, I really like the character, the Christian Bale, how he handled Batman. But
Yeah,
when The Dark Knight, when I was watching that, and here Heath Ledger was playing the Joker, it struck me as like, wow, doesn't seem like that long ago I was watching Christian Bale in American Psycho. And
yeah,
how easy would it have been if they didn't have Heath Ledger and Christian Bale had not played Batman, if he could have just switched and played the Joker? I wonder how Christian Bale would have handled that character. It almost seems like after American Psycho, something like that was just made for him.
yeah. That would have been pretty interesting. I never thought of that. Yeah, I'd still like to see it.
And maybe they'll make an alternate Batman or Dark Knight. We'll see Batman running around with a chainsaw and two hookers. I mean, that would be
Yeah.
great.
uh,
Those are
that's a
really
cool
great.
idea.
So how long ago did you start this project?
I'm sorry, how long until we started?
Yeah, when did you get it started? When was this, during, like, a couple of years ago you got started, or?
I started coming up with the idea a couple of years back, but we've been in pre-production, or what I would consider to be pre-production, for maybe a month now. So we have a campaign that we're going to launch on March 1st. And then once we raise funds for the film, we'll actually go into production with it. But as of now, we're not filming or anything. We have a cast and some crew members attached to it, but we're still pulling all the pieces together.
Okay. Now I've seen you had a trailer that you put out for this,
Yeah,
which was a kind of a neat trailer. And you have an Indiegogo page
yeah.
that you've got up. So now, if people want to find you on Facebook to, like, go find these links, where do they go?
It's facebook.com/Batman the Killing Joke fan film.
The Killing Joke. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find these comics. Is there
Yeah.
anything you can tell us about the story without kind of giving it away?
Yeah, it's a darker, edgier Batman story. It's geared toward adults more than kids. At the time when it came out, it was definitely one of the darker Batman stories that had come out up to that point. And I believe it came out in 1988 was when it was published. So just before the Michael Keaton Batman film. And it's a pretty popular Batman story. A lot of the fans of Batman are familiar with the comic version.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is going to be a little bit different. So it's drawing inspiration from the comic, but it won't be the exact same. So anyone that's familiar with the story would know, has a pretty good idea of what it's about. Batman's after the Joker. The Joker hurts Barbara Gordon, and it's just the Joker kidnaps Commissioner Gordon, and then Batman has to find Commissioner Gordon, kind of thing. But again, the version that we're going to tell is going to be a little bit different from that.
Okay.
Just drawing inspiration from it.
It sounds like a really cool project. Are you going to film it around the Rochester area, or do you have other locations?
Yeah, we're going to film in Rochester, New York, and then the surrounding area. So everything will be kept in upstate New York.
Okay. So you're going to go downtown. Like, I've never been to Rochester, but, like, are there, like, areas in Rochester where you can kind of, like, pseudo fake Gotham, with
Yeah,
the.
yeah, that's my plan. We have some gothy looking cathedrals and things downtown. So I just thought if I got some shots down there, I can make my own version of Gotham.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. Because I didn't know if you're going to travel down a little further south to the real Gotham, right, New York City, and try some filming down there. But there's still so many restrictions on, I guess, in downtown New York. It probably wouldn't be worth the hassle, I guess, to go down
That's
there.
what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't think for the story that we're going to tell, I don't think we really have to go to New York City. It's something I'll keep in mind once we get closer to actually filming. But as of now, I don't have any intention of going there.
I could see the Joker totally leading this anti-mask shit. I mean, can you imagine telling the Joker to put a mask on? Can you imagine the weird mask he would put on? He like paint something else and like,
yeah,
take out a city block. Yeah, that's not to encourage anybody out there. But anyway, but that would be kind of the Joker during the pandemic. Now that would be an interesting thing. I had a little idea not long ago because some of these characters, these dark characters, one of my favorite one of all times, Darth Vader.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've went on so many Star Wars rants recently that now I'm going to get the Joker stuck in my head and start going on Joker rants. But like Darth Vader, like remember, did you see Revenge of the Sith when he had his his arms or one arm and two legs hacked off by Obi-Wan?
Of
And
course.
then he's all burned up, and then they put the mask and everything on him, and, the suit and all this. And I'm thinking, like, I'm watching some of the other movies. I'm like, is Darth Vader really this pissed off all the time? Like, he can't be that chapped in the ass all the time. Maybe from the burns, literally, but like, he can't be that pissed off, right?
Right.
And I started thinking, he has a torso. Like, he didn't. I mean, he has like half of his legs, right? But he has a torso. I mean, the guy has to go to the bathroom. I wonder if it's like these NASCAR guys when you get dressed ready for action. It's like, now I got to take a piss. Not gonna, I mean, what do you do? I mean, like, you're Vader. The only problem is you have like two, like, I don't know, like bionic hands. Like, what if one of them malfunction when you're trying to go? And like next thing you know, you've crushed your own bits and pieces. I mean, so that would piss me off. But the guy has to get hungry. We've never seen Vader eat. And with all that technology, you think you'll have like a hole or something in the mask where you can slide a cookie through once in a while. But you never see anything. But with the breathing the way he does, he has to have the worst sinus issues. That's my guess. So Disney Plus, I mean, this is my challenge to Disney Plus. We're getting an Obi-Wan series. We've had The Mandalorian. We have the Book of Boba Fett that's out now. I want Darth Vader. What you like around the house? I mean, there's got to be a reality show with Vader. Yeah. I mean,
right.
I mean, before he like puts the mask on, is he a bacon and eggs kind of guy? I don't know. That's just I don't know. But I mean, there's so many questions there that need to be answered. And maybe the Joker should have his reality show.
I think that'd be fun. I heard that they were considering doing a Joker show. I think for HBO, they were going to do a Joker series. Yeah, so
now that would be cool.
Yeah, I think they can make it cool. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what they have planned for it or what their idea is.
I wonder if it would be worth it to like would Jared Leto be a good candidate for a Joker show?
For me personally, he's not my favorite Joker. But if it helps DC or helps HBO or whatever, then I'm all for it. Whatever's best for the team. There are definitely a lot of fans of his out there that just love his Joker character. I lean more towards some of the other actors, but
that's the thing. Sometimes I think it's best like to have an unknown actor or an actress fill a big role because they can do so much that people, because they already don't have that built-in expectation of what somebody else has been kind of pigeonholed in with their career. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that might actually, you're right, man. That might be a weird one for Jared because there are a lot of people that don't really love his version of the Joker. And if they attach him to the project, he might be willing to go into a different direction with it. He might come up with something cool and people might not give him a chance just because they've already seen his other stuff. But
yeah. Now, are you a fan of like horror films?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because when they come out with several years back, they did Friday the 13th. It was kind of like a reboot. A lot of people thought we're just going to get like a remake of the original.
Mm-hmm.
But I was blown away when I went, and it wasn't. They just kind of did their own thing, and just threw the name Friday the 13th on there. And I thought, as far as so-called remakes, I was not disappointed. Usually, I kind of am, but I was really not disappointed with that one. Kind of like the way I was with like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Mm-hmm.
When you do filming and you're doing like a fan film, and I imagine you probably hear from a lot of friends, other actors and actresses that are in indie as well, that their thoughts on like remakes and things like that. Did you get any kind of pushback when you wanted to start this?
No, everyone's excited for it. The thing is that the people that are familiar with The Killing Joke are like really excited to see a live action version of it because it's never been done before. They came out with an animated movie a few years back. It's on Netflix, but the first 20 or 30 minutes is like original material that they jammed it into the story. And most people that watch it aren't that fond of the first 20 or 30 minutes. There's a lot of interesting content that they put in there.
Okay.
So I think people are excited to just see something different that's kind of related to the Killing Joke story. But no, everybody's been super supportive. I'm grateful, and I appreciate all of it so much.
How much are you guys looking to raise to get the entire project like start to finish?
Well, it's going to be a full length feature film, and I think to get everything that we actually need to get it done, it's probably going to be around like 50K or so.
Okay. Because you see a lot of independent like fan film stuff, and they have to stop and like after like 20 minutes of total content once it's edited.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
because the most they get is like 5-6 grand tops, and so this is going to be a little bit more. Actually, I have a friend who's an independent filmmaker, and he lives in LA, and he did a movie many years ago called uh, "Rise of the" or "Shine of the Zombie Bastards," which was just kind of like a spoof on. Well, it came out. He did it before Zombieland was Zombieland, like a year before, and not that
cool.
they, but they were doing it then. I mean, they were kind of filming at the same time, but as an independent film, he got it done much quicker, and it
Hmm.
was so good. He filmed with a lot of local actors in Tennessee because it was like the
Cool.
moonshine that was turning people into zombies. It was the craziest shit ever, but it was a fun, very fun film. So having that kind of a budget, I know he had a budget of something like 35. So having that much of a budget actually can really upgrade from where people think when they see fan film. So this
Right.
is that much of a budget. It's going to be a good watch. It's not going to be looking at like, yeah, I can tell they spent 5 grand, like a lot, like. And I'm not trying to like, say anything bad about this film. People raise what they can raise, and some people are good at raising money, and others aren't.
Right.
And the creativity may be there. It's just they don't have the funds to back up the vision. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So there are some other people that are working on a Batman fan film. There are a couple different groups. One of them is doing a version of the Killing Joke that looks like it was taken straight out of the comic. Then there's another group that just released a Batman fan film, and those are both around 25 minutes long. I'm not sure why those groups kept the shorter films, the 25-minute films. I would suspect though that it has something to do with being attached to the actors union. So if they're attached to SAG, and if they make a fan film, they're restricted as to how long it can be. Other people keep the shorter time just because they can't afford to make the bigger films. But I know for a fact that one of those projects that they just made was 25 minutes long, and they had a minimum of $75,000 to make the film. So realistically, for me to make a full length feature film with a $50,000 budget isn't really. It's honestly not going to be that much. I'm not. It's going to be hard to get everything together. It costs a lot to make these movies, and especially to give you guys a Batman film that doesn't look like a fan film. I don't want it to look or feel like some of those cheaper projects. And so we would definitely want to have the bigger budget. The Batman costume alone would cost almost as much as some of those other fan films total budgets. So, we have to get Batgirl and actors fed and crew members and sets built and Batmobile and Bat Signal and Gotham.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully you guys will bust through the 50,000 goal
Yeah.
and be able to you put together a great project. Now I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you this as well, and then I want to get into some of your music too. Actually, you produce music, but
Yeah.
with so many independent films and fan films that are out there, for the longest time I've noticed this. Like anytime you go to the movies, and and again, I'm not trying to like criticize what people like or actors or because people, I mean, they got to work, right? They do a great job, but
Yeah.
it seems like the same storylines are just rehashed over and over when you go to like big films. It's almost like Hollywood for a number of years when they started, like when I saw they remade Bewitched, and it's like, that's Will
Yeah.
Ferrell. I'm like, what the hell? Like, have we really lost so much creativity that we have to make like 5 different versions of Ghostbusters? And and not that the ladies version they made it kind of cartoonish. You've seen the original Ghostbusters. It was funny because it was dark. And then
Right.
when they remade the Ghostbusters with the 4 girls that were Ghostbusters,
Mhm.
it was cartoonish. And I think that was probably from the producer side, like when they,
Yeah.
the filmmaker, like just, and it wasn't the good because the girls are freaking hilarious. It would have, I think, something like that would have been better if they just said, "Hey, ladies, write a script and then go do it," and like it would have been like much better than what the director had done, I think. But when you look at Hollywood films today and you look at independent films, why is it we see so much more creativity and originality coming out of independent films, and somehow it doesn't translate over into Hollywood where they have all the money to do these films, and like things have to go to like Netflix or some of the other streaming services, where some of those films, let's just face it, they go and die. They don't get any promotion, but yet they're amazing films, like very creative and very original. Like what the heck is with that disconnect? Is, as a filmmaker, are you seeing the same thing, or is it just me?
Yeah, no, the studios get involved. They're too involved. They won't let the directors make the films that they want to make. They're concerned with statistics. They want to target this demographic and that demographic, and you have to have an actor of this ethnicity and this sexual preference, and somebody with these religious views for this character. And they're just too involved with it, everything overall. They have restrictions as far as what you can do and say in the films and how they want it edited and the story that they want told. And they don't have the vision that the director has. And so when the director goes to them and says, like, this is my idea, the studio oftentimes says, no, we're not doing that. And then they'll drop the director during production, and they'll hire someone else, another director on board to finish the project. And that guy has no idea what the original director was thinking or what the studio's thinking. And it's just a mess. Like they did that with the Solo movie. They had some guys attached to it. They had an idea for the film. The studio didn't like it, so during production they got rid of them, and they picked up Ron Howard. And Ron Howard knows what he's doing, so he did his best with it. We got the movie that we got out of it. But it's just it's the studios get involved with the projects, and oftentimes they mess themselves over.
Yeah, maybe it's just best to leave the artist alone to create the art.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna hire a director on to do a job, I would think that it's because you trust them to an extent. You've seen their work before. You know that they're doing good stuff, and you give them the keys and you just let them do their thing. If you're gonna roll the dice with a director, then that's a decision that you have to make as a studio. Do you want to take the chance and have them do it? And if you do, then you let them do their thing. But either way, I think they're just too involved.
Yeah, you kind of in a way kind of alluded, I think, to maybe like political correctness getting involved in the filmmaking process. And I mean, we have this thing we call a woke culture, and
right,
we're in a weird time in our culture. And I
right.
When I look back at films from when I was younger that I would just laugh my ass off at, Mel Brooks, one of the most creative geniuses ever to make a film, could not get away with making films that he did today. And I don't know, like, is that such a, do you feel the pendulum kind of swinging back the other way? We're kind of like with guys like Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr that are just like, they just put their balls on the table, whether you like it or not. And here's the way we think. And, is the culture going back to that? We're going to see that kind of like, let's get this political correctness out of here because it's ruining movies kind of thing. Is that going to happen? Is it happening in independent film and it just hasn't got to Hollywood yet, or is it just a matter of
time?
That's a
maybe.
deep question.
Yeah. I don't, as far as being across the board in independent films, I'm not sure. For me personally, I would like to see it swing back the other way a bit. As when we make films, we should have the freedom to tell the story that we want to tell. I just saw this interview that Quentin Tarantino did, where he says, if you have sex and violence and all these other things, you just use them if you have to tell the story that you want to tell. It's part of like your palette as an artist, and some people aren't going to like it, but you have to come up with that final product that you envision. And I think we shouldn't be so afraid of having conversations about things. It's just, as a culture, I think we're getting so offended over things that we just, we aren't able to always appreciate the art anymore. And I like to see people, be able to express themselves however they want to, without restrictions or limitations. As long as you aren't hurting anybody, you aren't ruining anyone's life. I'm not forcing anyone to watch Batman,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not forcing anybody to do anything. And, the biggest vote we have is with our dollars. And if somebody has a vision like Tarantino and we like it, it's going to make money, and if it doesn't, if people don't like it, it won't. And, in that way, the cream always rises. And, I think it's a shame, but I do hope it swings back, because artists have to have that freedom to be creative without being canceled. And there's way too many people being canceled. Like when Kevin Hart was going to host the Oscars or the Grammys or whichever one he was going to host, it's like a lifelong dream. And somebody pulls up a tweet from 20 years ago or 10 years ago.
Right. It's ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? I was like,
right.
Even this past couple of weeks on a show like The View, and Whoopi Goldberg had some very controversial, like almost anti-Semitic things she had to say. But I'm not for boycotting or firing people. I don't believe in censorship. But if people don't like that show, they won't watch it.
Right.
And it's, that's true with anything. So when you're trying to cancel Joe Rogan or now, Whoopi Goldberg, I mean, they're two totally different ends of the political spectrum. So it's just like everybody eating their own. It's, but I'm so glad to see that independent film, so much creativity is still alive. It gives you hope. When you see independent films like this that just like, we're going to be true to what we think, and everything else be damned. And we'll still do life.
I mean, I am. I'm going to do my own thing. I can't speak for everybody. And of course, the actors, I appreciate them giving me the chance to do it, because without them, we can't tell the story, and they're putting their reputation on the line too by kind of going along with it. And so there must be other like-minded people out there that just want to be a part of something cool that, has a good story attached to it. And, again, we're trying to bring something that doesn't feel like a fan film. So something higher quality. And it's just I hope it's a fun project for everybody that's attached to it.
Do you have a Batgirl yet?
Yeah, we do. It's Lydia Manson.
Okay.
She's a super talented actress. She'll be featured in The House That Eats Flesh, Kiss Me Judas, STZ, and Reunion from Hell 2. And now she'll be in Batman the Killing Joke.
Okay, because I've heard of one of those films that bounced around on social media somewhere.
Yeah.
And I wanted, before we kind of knock off here for the night, I wanted to ask you about the page you have on SoundCloud. Nucci, is that how you pronounce?
That's what it was. Yeah. So I released some of it. Yeah. Okay. Nucci.
Now, what is that all the music and all the vocals?
Yeah. Yep. So it's me playing the guitar, the bass. I wrote all the drum parts for it, all the synth. A couple of those songs on the profile will be featured in other independent films. So one song is going to be in the opening of The Bleeding Dark, which is by Jason Hawkins. And then another song will be in Cross Hollow, which is also by Jason Hawkins.
Now you play all the instruments on this?
Yeah.
What are you, Prince? How many instruments do you play?
So I'll give you an exclusive here on my upcoming album, which has been done for a couple of years. I actually have a cover of Erotic City on there, which is by Prince, and I'm playing all the instruments on that. Nice. It's my own take on it. It's not the exact same as Prince. He's super talented, but yeah, it's all me.
There's no one like Prince. Now, did you get a chance to catch the Super Bowl halftime show?
No, I missed it Sunday. I had stuff going on. I have to go back and watch all that stuff, but yeah, I missed it. Missed out.
I saw people on TV and like social media, like this was the greatest halftime show ever. And I'm thinking, whoa, Prince was just on there like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He played there like within, not long ago, and he played Purple Rain in the rain. Like
Yeah.
that how do you get better than Prince at a halftime show? But that's just me. But
Yeah, and he did some cool covers that year too. I remember that.
yeah, that is I I guess that has to be probably one of my favorite artists. But a while back, I reposted a podcast online about the top 10 bands that should play the Super Bowl, because every year people are always so kind of disappointed,
Right.
But I guess, and that era of music with Eminem and Jay-Z, not Jay-Z, but Dr. Dre and Snoop and all those guys. I was in grad school, I was in college. It was kind of sort of my years of when I should be paying attention to music, but I was never really into it. But now that I see like my generation like represented there at halftime, I'm like, wow, man, some of these guys are going to be taking some balance of nature the next day, because you can't be moving around like that at that age, because that's going to hurt. And I kind of halfway expected Snoop Dogg to fire up a joint on stage because it's legal out there. But he did. I was like, come on, give me some controversy. I'm just glad that nobody had a wardrobe malfunction, because at that age, any of that. Because like 50 Cent was like, he's put on weight. You can just tell. And that's okay. We all get older. But I mean, I could roll in bed 3 times and still be on my back at this point.
No, man.
Blame that on the pandemic. No, but where can people download your music online?
Yeah, it's so that what you see there on SoundCloud's available on every platform. So I know there's some controversy with Spotify right now, but this before all this stuff started, it was uploaded to Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, SoundCloud, Amazon, and then like 190 other streaming platforms I've never even heard of before. Some of them are exclusive to China. They're on like every platform. It's just Nucci Music. There are some other artists out there with similar names. Those people aren't me. But
you know what? That's cool that some are exclusive to China, because like I have railed on here like it's like China they're communists. I'm not a communist. I'm all about free speech, freedom, and they're communists. So good for you that you're on those platforms, because those people over there know it sucks, and they got to have some rock and roll, some music, and some movies. So God bless them, man. They can bust through the firewall without getting arrested. Let's do it.
Yeah. So
I encourage the one place I encourage civil disobedience. Beijing. Let's do it. Let's rock this joint. But no, that's pretty cool though. That you're all over those. So what else am I missing here? What else is going on with your projects, or anything that you want to get out there before we go?
So the next Nucci release will be the final Nucci release, and it's going to be a cover. Here's some exclusives for you, just for this show. We're going to release a Billie Eilish cover song. So she made the bad guy, and since I'm playing the Joker and the Killing Joke just for fun for the people that have been following me on social media, I'm remaking it, and it's going to be the sad guy.
All right.
And that'll be the final Nucci release. And then from there, I'll release the new album under a different name that I've used on and off over the years. It'll be under Kiss to Kill, and it'll be a full-length album. And I have the Prince cover song on there. The other songs are all original. I believe there are 12 tracks total on that. I have some hip-hop stuff coming out in the future. I have a side project, a metal side project. It's called Mercy of the Wicked, and I'll have a single coming out for that project called Fever Swamp. People can look out for. Okay. I don't have any set dates for them at the moment, but they've just been sitting on my computer, ready to go. So it shouldn't be too long from now. As far as films, I'm attached to the Sawyer Massacre as an associate producer. It's an unofficial prequel fan film. Prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. So they'll be going to Texas in March to film that. Also, I always give shout outs to the Third Channel. They're their second Indiegogo campaign is coming up soon. The Sawyer Massacre is available now on Indiegogo.
Okay.
The third channel is an unofficial sequel to Halloween 3 that's being directed by Michelle and Blasky. And it looks pretty good, man. So does the Sawyer Massacre, by the way, has a trailer on YouTube that you can find. So if you just type in the Sawyer Massacre trailer, and they actually got Jim Dugan, who was Grandpa in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They got him to do a voiceover in this, which is the first time he's ever spoken as Grandpa. And they got Ed Neal, who played the hitchhiker in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, to play a role in this new one. He's playing a character named Rex. And Steve Merlo is the director. He's a super nice guy, super talented. He made that announcement maybe a month ago, and he hasn't told us what Rex is doing in the film, but I'm pretty excited for it.
Now, when you said Ed Neal, so for the people listening, don't get too excited. It wasn't Ed O'Neill from Married with Children. We're not talking about the guy who scored 4 touchdowns in one game. But we're talking about Ed Neal.
the hitchhiker. Yep.
From that was a great movie, by the way. I remember watching that. It's a good movie.
Yeah. So I always give those project shout outs. Of course, the Cross Hollow and the Bleeding Dark are in post production, so those will be out soon, and those have a couple of my songs in them. So I always give those a shout out. Batman: The Killing Joke, we have a pre-launch campaign available now on Indiegogo for anyone that wants to check it out and support us. If you give us your email, we'll give you exclusive perks and offers. And then the official campaign launches on March 1st. So
if people want to find those links, they can find you, Anthony Caimano, on Facebook.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You're on Instagram too. Or no?
I had an Instagram page. It's private right now, but they can definitely find me on Facebook. I'm pretty easygoing. I talk to everybody. I get back to everyone. So,
well, so make sure you check him out on Facebook, and go check out the music on SoundCloud. It's pretty good. I gave it a listen earlier today, and I was like, it's very unique. It's a really good sound, and the fact you play all these instruments, like, oh, okay. And
so I sequence everything. I record, mix, mastered, all that stuff. It's all me, 100% me. Wrote the songs, start to finish.
Well, keep us posted on the project. Can't wait to see what happens with it. Excited to see, especially the Joker character, how that goes. When you guys get close to being done, let me know. We'll come back on. We'll talk a little bit about how it went. Maybe bring a couple of the actors on, and
awesome.
Kind of pick their brains, see how they what they thought about the process.
Awesome, thank you. Yep. So March 1st, Indiegogo. Just search for Batman: The Killing Joke, and we'll pop up. We're the first ones to pop up.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Gonzo Chronicles. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. You can find me right next to Joe Rogan on Spotify. No, not really, but I'm on Spotify. We're on iTunes, Apple, or Google Play, Amazon Music, anywhere that you can listen to us on the website of Podbean. So share with your friends. Go check out Anthony's page and his Indiegogo, and we will talk to you next time. Cheers, everyone.